and welcome to the 100 Acre Wool Knitting Podcast. My name is Bella and I am a knitter and knitwear designer and fiber artist and hand spinner and just lover of all things fiber and wool. And this is a podcast where I come to chat with you about everything that I have been making recently, as well as maybe some updates on my knitwear design patterns. So today is all about knitting, a little bit of spinning there at the end, but most of today is going to be about knitting. And I've had quite a few kind of bursts of energy, of creative energy in this new year now. So I'm working on some new knitwear design patterns that I'm really excited about that we can talk about. And there's also quite a few finished objects to start us off, so that's always fun. So yeah, it's definitely very cold here today. It's been raining and just really chilly, so I'm just bundled up here sitting with a cup of tea. This is one of my favorite teas. It's lavender and green tea, so it's just really warming and cozy and nice to drink on cold days. So I am keeping warm right now, so I hope that you are keeping warm as well. And yeah, it's time to grab something to work on, maybe grab some warm drink, tea or coffee or whatever you like, and let's get going. So first I'll start off with what I'm wearing. I'm wearing two finished objects, so I guess I will put my tea down for now. And I guess we'll go from the top down. So this, I don't think you've ever seen before at all. This is a new version of a pattern that I designed actually last year, not a year ago, but I think like last spring. I was really wanting to make a brioche kind of beret sort of a thing, and I actually made one. So this is the one from last year. You may have seen this in my last video when I was talking about all my makes from, I have a fuzz on me, when I was talking about all my makes that I did in 2023. So this was a design from then, but it didn't really, I don't know, this particular one came out a lot smaller than what I was envisioning of like the kind of beret that I wanted. So I have made the second version. I think what's going to happen is that the pattern is going to have three sizes. So this will be the biggest size, and then this will be the smallest size, so that there's a range of options. I think this size would also be really great for a child. But yeah, so I'm really, really happy with how this one came out. A super quick knit and really fun. If you've done brioche before, it's really easy. It's in the round, and you're only using, well, I'm using multiple different yarns in this, but it's only like, they're all held together. So it's like you're using one color. So that makes it a lot easier as well. And I will take it off so I can show you the details. So it's pretty big. You can see how big it is. This is a foot, what is that called? Not circumference, diameter. This is a 12-inch diameter, and this one is quite a bit smaller. I think this one is either 8 or 10 inches diameter, or yeah, diameter. I always get those confused, circumference and diameter. But anyway, yeah, this version, the bigger version, is very much designed to be slouchy and comfy and cozy and warm, and the smaller one is definitely more like tight-fitting to your head. But yeah, it just depends on what size you want to knit for the kind of fit that you're going for. But I'll show it to you up close. Oh, and you can kind of see the light coming through here. But there's all the decreases in the brioche. And I did put a little pom-pom at the top, which this pom-pom I made with my little pom-pom maker. I've talked about this before here, but I'm not sure if I've ever shown it. So this is the one I use. It's the Clover pom-pom maker. And I think I have the smallest kit. So this makes pom-poms that are like an inch or a little more than an inch and a half. So I really recommend this. I'm not sponsored by them whatsoever. It's just something that I picked up a while ago to make my own pom-poms. And I love it because you can use your own yarn. So you can have it match exactly what you are putting it on. So these two I used the little thingy, and it works really, really well. They're not very expensive and they'll last you forever. So they're not expensive at all, but pretty affordable if you're going to make many pom-poms, which that's kind of my favorite part of a hat, is putting the pom-pom on at the end. So yeah, I used the same yarns as I did for the rest of the beret. And what I did for this version was I knit it with one strand of knitted in yarn, an unspun yarn, held with 2 strands of a silk mohair. So I'll show you that here. So this is the yarn combo that I used. This one is by, this is knitted in yarn by Acre. It's an unspun yarn. And this particular colorway is like 2 years old, so pretty old. It was in my stash and I've been really wanting to use it in a hat. I thought that a pop of color on your head would be very cute, so I'd been looking for a mohair to go with it, and I decided on a couple of weeks ago. I was in one of my local yarn shops to me. They are called the Black Squirrel. I think that's what their name is, the Black Squirrel. And I just saw this mohair there and I knew it would go so perfectly with the orange color. So this is Nerdy Fibers. It's a hand-dyed silk mohair and it's by Nerdy Fibers. Really cute little logo with a little sheep on it. And then this is their, I think it's their Echo base, so it's their kind of a usual silk mohair, 72% mohair and 28% silk, 50 grams and 457 yards. And this is the colorway Toffee. So I really think this one is just a really interesting color. The silk core is kind of a bright orange, but then the halo is like this really beautiful golden, almost brassiness color. So when I put the two together, I just really loved the color that came out of that. This kind of antique-y pumpkin almost. So yeah, that's how that one came out. Just a really fun, pretty simple project if you've done brioche before. And I did shorten the brim a little bit. You can see the brim is much shorter, this little part here, as opposed to the original one. This one is almost 2 inches thick, so I also wanted to shorten that and see how that would look. And I really enjoyed holding these two yarns together. Having the 2 strands of mohair held with the unspun yarn really helps make sure that it will not break on you at all, and just gives you so much more to hold on to. Creates a much thicker yarn that way. I don't know what exactly the weight together, all 3 of them, I would have to figure that out, but yeah, 2 strands of mohair, silk mohair, and 1 strand of like a fingering / DK weight unspun yarn. That's kind of what it was. So yeah, I just made the knitting process so much easier, and the unspun I think just added this really lovely lightness and airiness, and especially in the pom-pom. Like, how cute is that? It just fluffed up so well because that unspun in there. I think it just turned out so well. So yeah, I'm really happy with this one. And I also made, at least my versions, I made the pom-poms detachable. So you can see I have this in here. I have this white sewing thread actually, and that's what I use to kind of secure my pom-poms. There's directions in the little thing that I showed you earlier to make the pom-poms. There's directions. At one point you need to take a different thread, or like a thinner thread, and tie all the yarn together so that it will actually hold in place. So I always actually just use a sewing thread, and then I will poke it through the top of the hat and then just tie it in a bow underneath, so that at any point if I wash the beret or I just don't feel like I want a pom-pom on it anymore, I can easily just undo the little bow and just take it off. So it's definitely not permanent on there, but it will stay on with the knot. If you want it to stay on, it will stay on. So yeah, and it's just super comfy and cozy, and I'm really happy with how this one turned out. It's exactly what I was going for after doing measurements and just kind of fiddling around with sizing. I really love how this one came out. And moving on to the next finished object, I'm wearing it right here. This is my newly finished Fleur shawl. So I think I talked about this a little while ago, and I've actually had this cast off for a few weeks now, but yeah. This was a really fun, kind of very simple project, mostly garter stitch shawl with some baubles throughout. So hopefully you can see it there. For this one, I used one strand of Crux Fibers low mileage wool held with a silk mohair again. I really love silk mohair. I love holding it with other things and just seeing how the colors meld and play together, and then also it tends to make things easier to knit if the thing you're holding it with isn't so sturdy. But the low mileage wool is perfectly sturdy. It's a really amazing yarn, which I actually have the little label here. So that's Crux Fibers, that's her label there, and she's so kindly gifted this to me a little while ago. But I played some serious yarn chicken with this project. This is all that is left over. A tiny little just scrap of yarn. I was so lucky that I kind of gauged my when I needed to bind off, because it's worked top down. So you cast on here at the center point and then you go down like this. So the bind off is it's a lot of stitches. I don't remember the exact stitch count, but hundreds of stitches, and luckily I gauged it in a way that I could bind it all off and not have to rip out and do it again because I ran out of yarn. So yeah, but barely any left over. So that means that this used for me 2 skeins of her low mileage wool. So I had to omit one of the like sections where there would be another bobble row. There's only 3 in mine, and then the original design there's supposed to be like a 4th kind of section and then another like row of bobbles at the end. But I think it came out well. I think it's still really cute, and I've been getting some wear out of it, and it's really cozy and soft and really lovely drape to it. Definitely this project was definitely improved by blocking, especially shawls. I think shawls are like always definitely improved after you block them. So cozy. I don't think I said where this pattern is from. This is by Espace Tricot, and again it's called the Fleur shawl. And also I don't think I said the silk mohair that I used is from Biche et Bouche. It's their normal silk mohair lace weight base. So yeah, I really enjoyed this shawl. If you're looking for something super simple and pretty quick because of how simple it is, mostly just garter stitch and just a really like elegant kind of timeless shape, then I would definitely recommend this pattern. And it will be getting a lot of wear in this winter season, keeping me cozy warm. And I don't want to forget my tea. Okay, so I guess we'll get into, what else I'm wearing. I will take off the Fleur shawl again so I can show you. So the sweater that I am wearing, this is my relatively newly bound off and finished Hygge sweater. This is another one of my new designs, and the pattern is now in test knitting. Hooray, I'm so excited. I love when patterns are kind of done and in test knitting, because the pattern has to be 100% complete and edited and all things, you know, as perfect as you can make them before the test knit, so that test knitters hopefully don't run into any real issues. And it's mostly just like, how did you enjoy knitting the pattern? Did everything work out the way that it should have? That kind of a thing. So it's always nice to have the pattern finished and ready to go. But anyway, So yeah, this is now in test knitting and it's going to be published towards the end of March. So I'm really excited about that, but now I get to wear it and enjoy it. So this is just a really comfy, cozy sweater. I'll just stand up a bit so you can see. It's just very oversized, and when I was designing this, I wanted something that would just feel like home, just absolutely cozy and comfy, and not hot to wear, but definitely warming to a point where you are just very comfortable in it. So due to the stitch pattern, there is still breathability, but it is warming. So it came out exactly the way I was hoping, and that's always nice. So I'll just show you some more of the details. I really love how the shoulders came out. The construction is top down, and it's straight flat at first until you finish the neckline, and then it's all in the round after that. But yeah, it's kind of a mix of a saddle shoulder and a drop sleeve. So I just really love how this part kind of came out. And then I also added another detail towards the bottom. I'm wondering if I'll be able to get it in the frame. I don't know, maybe I'll just insert a photo. But there's also a split hem. So the front is a little bit shorter than the back, and you can also tuck it into jeans or into a skirt or whatever it may be. So yeah, really happy with this one. And I made the sleeves long so that I could pull them up over my fingers and just be totally cozy. So yeah, that is everything that I'm wearing. And I'm gonna put this one back on. Tell me, I want to know what you have been working on recently. What is something that you have knit recently for yourself or for someone else that was just like you had a need for coziness and warmth? I want to know what that project was for you. There we go. Okay. We will get into the next finished object. So if you follow me on Instagram or you're signed up for my newsletter, then you may have seen this one. I finished my Moreau sweater, and this is another new design from me. This one is now published and available on Ravelry and my Etsy shop. So I'm so happy and excited that it's finally out. Thank you to all who have supported and purchased the pattern already, and I can't wait to see your versions. Yeah, so it's a kind of yoke. I'm getting too excited, getting ahead of myself. So it is a circular yoke, sort of a construction with some short row shaping here at the front. It's top down, so it has some short row shaping here at the front to create more of a swoopy, sort of elegant shape towards the neckline, and then also some even more short row shaping in the back to give some more length. And yeah, then it's worked completely in the round, completely seamless, and then you'll split for sleeves and work down. And then these sleeves have some little details at the end. On this version, I omitted, there was a little bit more of the color work that I just omitted on this particular version. And this is actually the second sample of this design. I had also made one in like superwash yarns and kind of like a color fading combo, but then it didn't show off all of the color work like motif so much, so I wanted to make another one and make it feel more like almost Christmassy or like fitting for the holidays. So that is what this one is, and I'm just really happy with how it came out. This one is also unspun yarn, so I used Nutiden for this version. Single-stranded, which that was a bit of a struggle. I know many of you have commented on my videos in the past saying that you really struggle working with unspun yarn, and especially if you're holding it single and probably also even holding it double, maybe have some issues with it breaking. So I'm actually working right now on a little video tutorial, sort of tip style video of ways that you can work with unspun yarn to make your life easier because I think that everyone should try some sort of an unspun yarn at least once in their life. I think it's really unique and really special, and just gives a very different look than other yarns. So I would recommend trying it out. So yeah, that video will be coming soon. And I also made this version a little bit cropped. So you can see it's a little bit shorter. And I also made this version one size bigger than I would normally knit because I wanted it to be nice and oversized and comfy. So yes, that is the Moreau sweater, and that is, like I said, on Ravelry and Etsy, which are both linked down below. If you didn't know already, I always link everything that I talk about in this video that could be linked. I link it below in the description down below. If you just tap, there's probably a little arrow or something like that, or maybe it's to the side, I think, depending on what screen you're on. But yeah, you can see all the details and get more info down there and links to things and stuff. Okay, I think, oh, we have one more finished object to talk about, but I don't have it with me, so we'll be a little bit brief. I finally finished my friend's sweater knit that I was knitting for him. I will put a picture of it here. So I was knitting him a sweater that was self-drafted, just kind of made it up as I was going along a little bit. So my friend last year, he had asked for me to knit him a sweater inspired by the Knives Out sweater that one of the characters wears in that movie, in that film. So I was happy to do that, and it was kind of a long process of figuring out what stitch would be best that would like fit what the original looked like. It's kind of hard to see because the photos from the film are like really dark and like you can't really see all the details very much, but he really wanted that sweater, and yeah, so I have finally finished it. And I was looking on Ravelry and seeing when I cast on the sweater, and it has been exactly 1 year or like it had been exactly 1 year from when I cast it on to when I bound it off. It was exactly 1 year. So it didn't need to take that long, but it did. And there was a little bit of time in there where I thought I would run out of yarn, and it was a bit of a struggle, but we made it. I didn't play yarn chicken, had enough, and yeah, I'm really happy with how it came out. It fits him really, really well. If I can get some images of him wearing it, I don't know if we have any yet, but anyway, I'll put that in here if we have those as well. But yeah, it's mostly a 1x1 rib. I was thinking maybe it would be fisherman's rib at the beginning and doing different tests, but no, it's 1x1 ribbing, and I worked it bottom up, so cast on at the hemline, worked it all in the round, bottom up, and then I made it a little bit of a drop shoulder, so it's a bit wider than he is, the body portion is, and then did the front separately and the back separately from the under point of the sleeve hole, the sleeve opening, and then picked up, and then seamed the tops, seamed the shoulder seams, and then I picked up stitches and worked the sleeves top down, and then did a little Italian bind off at the end. I really love Italian bind offs, and I've learned recently a new technique to do them with unspun yarn so that it is not completely like very difficult. So yeah, that was kind of the process. Oh, and also picked up stitches for the neckband as well. But yeah, that was kind of the process of that one. I used technically 4 yarns held together, so it was a really bulky, like, I wish I could show it here in person, but you can go back and watch my other podcasts if you would like to like see me holding it in person. But it's a really, really bulky weight fabric that was created. It's like definitely the biggest, like most voluminous sweater that I've ever knit. So it was 2 strands of unspun yarn held with 2 lace weights because we needed a marling look to it that was really like very prominent in the original sweater. So I used a lace weight yarn of a white and then a lace weight yarn of a red, and I think the red was from Jamieson and Smith or Jamieson's of Shetland. I always get those two confused, but anyway, yeah, so, and I used US 8 needles as well, so it was a pretty relatively dense gauge. So yeah, really warm and cozy for him, and I hope that he's gonna get a good amount of wear. I don't know if he'll get a lot of wear out of it because of where we are, Northern California. It can get pretty cold, but not like that cold. But maybe he'll use it on trips where he's going somewhere really cold. So anyway, yeah, that's finally finished and off the needles, and I'm so happy that he has it now. So with that, I guess we'll get into a work in progress. So I have to grab it over here. Okay. So as I said at the beginning, I have been having a lot of new creative energy for some new designs, and I cast on something new. I had been swatching and trying to find the right look that I was going for. Maybe I can show you some of the swatches here. I don't want to show you all my swatches because some of them are sneak peeks, or some of them would be spoiling future things. Okay, so this swatch was the first go. So kind of the inspiration for this was I was on a walk recently, and at this time of year all of our trees are completely covered in moss, and I was thinking to myself, that moss looks like velvet. Like something about the lighting and like areas are like matte and areas are sheen, like I don't know how to explain it, but like a green, like a really deep green, like velvet it almost looked like. So I was really inspired by that idea, and I pulled some yarns out of my stash and started playing with colors and textures and different things. So that's kind of where the color inspiration came from. But this was the first swatch that I started on, and just kind of some slip stitches and different textures going on. I do like this one, so it may be used in the future for something else, but it wasn't exactly, my heart wasn't singing with it quite yet. So then I thought, well, I really love herringbone fabric, and you know, that kind of weave that's almost chevron-like with the different points and kind of diamond-y shapes. Not diamonds, but you probably know what I'm talking about. You've probably seen a herringbone fabric before. So then I was thinking, okay, maybe we go on that kind of a route. So I cast on this little guy and was trying to create some little different shapes, and that wasn't working out how exactly I wanted it to. I didn't get very far on it, but I could just tell it wasn't exactly turning out how I was going, what I was looking for. So then, I actually don't have the third swatch with me, but this is what I settled on. So this is the fabric texture that I settled on. So hopefully you can tell I'm going for a herringbone fabric look. And yeah, so that's kind of how it's coming out right now. And this is going to be a vest. So part of the charm of this fabric is that the way that you do the herringbone, the way that you do the herringbone, and then also the way that I wanted the herringbone to sit in the fabric, in the garment, I have to knit it sideways. So this is a new challenge. This is a new thing. I have never knit sideways before for a garment. I wanted this to be a vest, so we are knitting a vest sideways. So this is the little bit at the beginning. I have already graded and everything for at least my size, the size that I will be knitting as the sample. So that's what I've cast on here. And this is kind of the very beginnings of kind of the underarm here. So I'm also thinking that it'll be relatively fitted, not tight at all, but relatively fitted. So this is kind of the underside of the arm side here. And yeah, so that's how that's going. Here's how the underside looks if you're curious. So the yarns that I'm using is kind of a different combination than I have worked with in the past. And first, you guessed it, Knitted unspun yarn. Just because I have so much of it and I love throwing it in with other things. So for one of the colorways, or for one of the strands of yarn, I might as well say, I am using one strand of the Handspun held with one strand of a silk mohair, and I'm totally blanking on where this is from, but I will write it here and I will have it also linked down below. I adore this colorway. It's a hand-dyed silk mohair, and it's just, oh, maybe I also have a photo of when it was skeined up, because you can't, it's not singing as much as it was when it was a skein, and you could see more of the colors, but it's just so rich and beautiful. So I really liked how these two looked together when I held them together, kind of what the brown did with deepening up the mossy green. And then for the second color, I am using my Handspun yarn. And this is actually some Handspun that I had made for my partner. This was pretty old Handspun yarn. This is from when I first started spinning, pretty much. This was like my first real, purchased the hand-dyed fiber, and then I spun it on my spinning wheel, and I was so excited, and it actually turned out well. So yeah, this was kind of my first real hand-spun skein. So yeah, even though this is his and I really wanted to knit something for him with it, I just had this idea and it just worked so well with all the colors together. I just really loved it. So I asked him if I could steal at least this skein. I have a few others, but and I think this will be enough for this project, perhaps, hopefully. But yeah, so using some of his Handspun. He'll have more projects in the future, and I've already knit him a bunch of things, but yeah, so this is some of my Handspun fiber, and this is very comparable to like a sport weight Handspun kind of mimic that you can purchase from larger hand dyers. So I would very much compare this to like a spin cycle dyed in the wool. It's pretty much the exact same weight and look and twist and everything to it, so that's kind of the comparable thing for that. But yeah, so this is how they're all looking together so far, and I'm really having fun with the texture, and I'm really curious to see how it progresses. So yeah, and I think this pattern, oh, I forgot to say, the beret I don't have a name for yet, but for this pattern I know I want to call it Velvet Moss because of what it was inspired by. And let's see. Okay, now that was it for spinning. That was it for knitting, but now I have a little bit of spinning to share with you. So if you are not new around here, you may know that I have been, for the past many months, I have been spinning up yarn for knitting a shifty sweater for my friend. She saw that design and really loved all the colors. She adores color, and she really just loved that design and how all the colors played together with that. So we picked out some fiber quite a few months back. We picked out some fiber together that I would order and hand spin all the fibers and then knit them into a shifty sweater. And now I'm so excited, all the hand spuns are finished. So this is the last one. I just finished the plying of the 2-ply of this colorway. So this was made with fiber from Neighborhood Fiber Co. I ordered quite a few from them for this project. I just really like their colors. So yeah, this is how this one came out. It is a 2-ply yarn, and I think how I spun it was how I normally spin, how I normally separate my fiber for spinning. I undo the entire fiber braid, and then I chop it like just one point in the center of the full length of like what the whole braid was. And then I spin one side on one bobbin as a single ply, and then I spin the other side on another bobbin, and then I 2-ply those together. So that's kind of how I did it with all these skeins for this project, and I have 6 different colors. So we're doing a little something different. If you're aware of the Shifty Sweater by Andrea Mowry, then you may know that it only calls for 4 colorways of handspun yarn or any yarn. But usually it only really calls in the pattern for 4 different colorways. So you kind of have one, I will put a picture here if you have no idea what I'm talking about, but it kind of has one like base color and then 3 contrast colors throughout on top of that. So for this one though, we're doing 6. So there's 3 base colors and then 3 contrast colors. So I will show them all now here. I've actually already caked up one so that I could cast on. I was just about to cast on before I sat down to film. So these are going to be one pairing, and I may also put up a photo because I'm not sure if I can actually hold all of these. Here is one of the other ones. So here's one of the other colorways. This fiber braid made 2 skeins because I couldn't fit them all on one bobbin. And here is another one. This one's really like rich and orangey and rusty kind of colors, and also some gray in there. So that's another one. That'll be the 3rd base color. And then this one, which I think is my favorite out of the whole bunch. This one was a Malabrigo braid, and I just, oh my gosh, all the colors in this I just cannot get over. That one's super cool. I think this was the first one that I spun up for this project, and I adore how it came out too. The spin is just like, oh, in my eyes. For my you know, relatively new spinner eyes, within the past, like, I think I've been spinning for a year and a half now, maybe? I don't know. I was just really proud of this one, how this one came out. And then this is the last one. So this is like the darkest contrast color. So I don't think I can hold all these up together, but let me see. I will insert a picture of what they all look like. So these are all the contrast colors. Or wait, it'll be like this. These are the 3 contrast colors. And these are the 3 base colors. So I'm kind of thinking that the lights will go with the lights and the darks will go with the darks. That's kind of the plan, but we shall see. So stay tuned for next episode. You will see my progress with this project. I will have cast on and knit some, and I'm just so excited to finally get to the knitting portion of this. It was kind of taking me a while. I was losing steam a little bit, and now I am very excited about this whole project again and finally getting started on knitting. And I know I'm also going to have a ton of yarn left over after, so that'll be fun to figure out what to do with that. But yeah, I think that's everything for today. I hope you have enjoyed today's episode. I hope you've been having a lovely weekend and a lovely start to February. Can you believe it's already February? Oh my gosh. Wow. Well, I will stop rambling on and let you get on with your day. But thank you so much for being here and for seeing what I have to share with you. If you have any tips of things that I can maybe do with the leftover unspun, or not the unspun, with the leftover handspun, because I know I'm going to have a bunch left over. If you have any tips on maybe projects or patterns that I can do with that, let me know. And yeah, like I said, everything will be linked down below. If you enjoyed today's episode, please do like and subscribe. That would really mean a lot. And I hope you have a great rest of your day, and I'll see you next time. Bye bye.